Hi everyone and welcome back. It's the last Monday of this month. That means, as painful as it is, that means we're going to welcome in October, like it or not, weather-wise or calendar-wise. But October is coming later on in the week, and it's also accompanying some changes in our weather that are actually going to start before it gets here. We're talking about the potential for some heavy rainfall for some of us. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about temperatures falling and staying in the low and mid 60s for a few days on end. We've got some changes on the way weather-wise. You'll want to be sure to stay tuned for your Licking Valley RACC forecast because it's full of clouds and showers and no mention of sunshine right now until Sunday. Yes, that's next Sunday. Nothing, no word of sunshine between now and then. I'll be not so excited to tell you about it in more detail in just a few moments. There are some records that you don't want to break. Fortunately, there were no life-threatening injuries, but it was a record-setting day for EMS this past Friday when we had a special presentation for you of the Heritage Day Parade. I've got an elk picture to show you that was taken by a local hunter in case you're interested. We've also got some football scores from over the course of last week. Taxes still being discussed by local government entities, and a few updates for you on some other fronts as well. And I think that's actually where we'll begin tonight's program. First off, with an update on a burglary that took place at a Royalton business last week. At last report, I spoke with store owners on camera. We spoke with Tony Williams about how the alleged suspect, and he believed accompanied by at least one or two others, entered the store, one of those entering the store and staying there for a lengthy amount of time before ultimately making out with about $3,000 to $4,000 worth of merchandise before it was all said and done.
Happened through this wall, and they couldn't get through. You can see, like right here, where they had popped the screws out, trying to pull it through. And then right here, they busted that hole through and thought they could come through right there. Well, they can't move these coolers.
And they didn't give up there. Williams further showed me where they had cut a hole into a bathroom wall and made entry there. Now, I say they. A lengthy surveillance video showed only one suspect inside the store, masked, wearing white gloves with his face and all body parts covered. But it's only assumed, well, it's more than assumed, the police believe there was at least one, if not two, individuals outside acting as accomplices. The lengthy video also showed that the suspect was in the store for a period of about 13 minutes with security system sirens inside and both outside the business, around 10:30 or so at night, both wailing quite loudly. Not deterred, he continued to make 5 trips from behind the counter to the hole they cut in the side of the business, taking out through that hole numerous cartons of cigarettes, other tobacco products, other items that were taken from the store, including lottery tickets, and then, of course, damaging one of the cash registers that was discovered outside the store because it appeared as though they couldn't get the drawer open while inside. Recovered at the scene were the burglary tools, carpenter tools, if you will, that were used to make entry into the store. Williams also told me that the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department had at that time, per our last report, recovered several items, a quantity of the cigarettes, a quantity of the lottery tickets, which had attempted to have been burned and destroyed as evidence, as well as other evidence linking more than one suspect to the crime. I also spoke with Montgomery County Sheriff's Deputy Neil Adams earlier today, who is heading up the investigation. He says the investigation is ongoing. However, he is confident that arrests are imminent in the case. He could not reveal how many, but that charges would be filed against more than one individual, he believed, before the week's end. We'll have an update as soon as those charges and subsequent arrests are made. And indeed, some records you just don't want to break. However, local EMS personnel saw a number fall. Carter calling the rescue squad in Montgomery County tells me, per his knowledge, and I'll go along with that, going back over the course of the lifetime of the rescue squad, approaching 40 years, that the number stood at 6 in regards to the most number of auto accidents they have been called out to on a single day's time. Over the course of 24 hours on this past Friday, they by far surpassed that number. The good news is, to tag along with this report, there were no life-threatening injuries associated with some light rain, which caused a lot of heavy problems.
It was a very busy day of all the dry weather we had. A little rain. It wasn't real hard, but enough to make the road slick. All in all, we entered about 10 accidents from Friday morning to Friday night, everywhere on 460 West to Mountain Parkway, Route 30. Please, if we get several days of dry weather and we get a little light rain in, please remember the oil is still on the highway and it is not your time to make fast time.
While heavy rains can, of course, be dangerous and present their own problems, they also can more quickly wash away dirt, grease, grime, rubber, anything that's been accumulating on road surfaces for days on end during dry weather. A little light rain will just kind of let it all sit there. And that was the situation over the course of Friday. In a 24-hour time span, and really that can almost be narrowed down to 12 hours, 10 accidents were called into McGoffin County 911. This one on Route 40, there was a female passenger, 6.5 months pregnant, that was not seriously injured, and that is nothing short of a miracle. There were also several other serious accidents. Some were minor in nature. This is a still frame with, I believe, a little video possibly to follow, or another still frame from another accident. This one happening on Route 30, what we still commonly refer to as the Arnett Curve. A car on rain-slicking roads, went into a slide, and this is how it came to rest in the ditch. This was a non-injury accident. One of the other more serious of the auto accidents was another one that took place a little closer to the latter part of the evening, but still well before dark, when a total of 3 occupants were taken to an area hospital. It was actually a female driver, a female passenger, and a small child around the age of 1, who, by the way, was, I'm so glad to report, properly fastened into his child safety seat and therefore not seriously injured, but all 3 were taken to an area hospital for possible injuries, but non-life-threatening injuries. There was another accident on the Route 30 bridge. There was one reported on the parkway at the 73-mile marker. A Ford Mustang slid off the road into the grassy area. In 12 hours, in a 12-hour period, these are some of the total of 10 auto accidents called into local authorities after some very light rains made a mess of some what had been very dry roads. Lastly, before we go to our first break, I am painfully aware, of that static that is picking up or being picked up on my microphone behind the desk. I'm working to isolate that. Bear with me. I'll try to have it fixed before the program is over. For now, a few words from a few of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with more headlines soon after. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. Our last report on the Johnson County Fiscal Court as it pertains to the setting of tax rates was a report on their last regular session meeting, where Judge Tucker Daniel asked that the subject matter be tabled pending further information to be received by the state. A correction, information received from the state by the Johnson County Fiscal Court. The video you see here is actually that regular session meeting, while last Wednesday there was a special session of the Johnson County Fiscal Court to address tax rates and some other issues on the brief agenda. As for tax rates, Judge Tucker Daniel said that they were, of course, given a few options, that of taking the compensating rate or the allowed by law 4% increase. And he did cite that during his time as judge of Johnson County, he could recall at least 3, possibly 4 different times when the government of Johnson County was able to cut property tax rates. But he also cited today's economic downturns, the struggles that Johnson and other counties are facing, and a harsh reality that he does not know if that will ever be an option somewhere down the line. He indicated that the 4% increase that they were allowed to take by law would generate some $734,000 in revenue, that the compensating rate itself would generate less than that, at around $710,000 in revenue. There was some discussion to follow. As a final vote, the court voted to decline and turn down the 4% option, and they did, however, keep the compensating rate, which was estimated to be at 8.8 cents per $100 of property valuation. As for motor vehicle and watercraft tax rates, those stay the same as they have been for years at 12.8 cents. I believe that's also the amount for McGoffin and several other counties as well, where they have all stayed that same rate for a number of years. And before we go on to calendar announcements for this Monday, a local hunter shared some pictures with us. We're going to share them with you. Doesn't happen all that often, but as they are becoming more popular, they are seeing more elk taken from the area. This one from a portion of Breathitt County. And there you have it, this large animal taken in the South Fork area of Breathitt County with a bow and taken by Farley Joseph. And you can see him with members of his family and the crew that it took to retrieve his kill from the woods. A large animal did come in at a 6.6 elk. Now that is, of course, the numbers referred to in measuring the rack, and I believe it's 6 points on both sides, if I'm not mistaken. I know I'm at least somewhere in the vicinity on that. You can obviously tell, not hunted a whole lot of elk and or deer, but certainly an accomplishment by this local hunter. This is about the third or fourth time we've been able to showcase a local or area hunter bringing down an elk after, of course, they were repopulated into the state of Kentucky. We've seen that population continue to grow, and there, of course, subsequent allowed hunts. And here you can see a host of family and friends all delighted to be able to help Farley retrieve his elk from the woods, which I'm sure was a more than hours-long task and one that proved to be quite a job. Nevertheless, day's hunt gone well. I also want to thank Tim Joseph for sharing those pictures with us. Anytime you've got something newsworthy like this, be sure and send them in. We'd love to share it with our viewers. Birthday wishes begin our McGoffin Farm Bureau community calendar, and a now 9-year-old Eli Howard is our birthday wish for tonight. Happy birthday, Eli, with a whole lot of love from a whole lot of family and a whole lot of friends. Happy 9th birthday to Eli Howard. The Sagersville Waterworks has a regular board meeting. Well, their regular board meeting was set for Tuesday the 22nd, last Tuesday, and has since been rescheduled for tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the Sagersville Waterworks. This announcement coming from Sean Rowe, superintendent. There's going to be a Woodman Life meeting held this coming Thursday, 6 o'clock, and Thursday is the 1st of October, by the way. That's at the Sagersville Subway. A bass tournament's coming up, sponsored by the Harold Whitaker Middle School cheerleaders down in Yatesville Lake. That is this Saturday. It's going to be 7:30 to 3:30. Blast off in order of entry fee received. It's $100 per boat. First place is $1,500. Call 371-3498 to find out more about this Saturday's bass tournament on Yatesville Lake, sponsored by the Harold Whitaker Middle School cheerleaders. And I'm just now realizing I've been had by spell check. My apologies. But a 5K walk run has been put together in honor of Jeremy Arnott and his family. I think I've read it right and said it wrong the past day or two. I'll have that corrected with my apologies. Nevertheless, Jeremy was recently diagnosed with stage 4 renal cancer, and family and friends have put together a 5K walk run to raise proceeds to pay for his care, and it's in the Ramey Park this Sunday, October the 4th. I'll tell you more about it throughout the week, times, information, and how you can find out more about it. I'll get that to you for the rest of the week. With that, just closing calendar announcements by saying you can get those on the program by mail, phone, fax, email, Facebook, or drop them off here at the studio, and you can catch programming the following day on yournewstoday.com. And there's one funeral service announcement to be posted this Monday. It's in honor of 48-year-old Michael Neal Ward of Van Leer, who passed away on the 28th. Today's date, son of Edward and Dolores Ward. Besides his parents, he's survived by his wife, Pamela Gail Butcher Ward, son Joseph Edward, and daughter Micah Leanne Curtis. Visitation will begin after 4 o'clock tomorrow, and then prior to services, they're set for Wednesday afternoon at 3. Burial will take place at the Collins Cemetery in Prestonsburg. The Preston Funeral Home in Paintsville is in charge of arrangements, once again, for 48-year-old Michael Neal Ward of Van Leer. A few more details have emerged on the arrest of former Sheriff John K. Blackburn of Floyd County. As I reported to you last week, he was arrested for second offense DUI, this in his home county of Floyd. We've since received a few other details about the events that happened on the night he was taken into custody. While his first DUI arrest that we have been informed of happened while he was still sheriff, and in March of 2013, he was charged with second offense DUI last Tuesday night when he was stopped by Prestonsburg police in Floyd County on Abbott Creek. We knew last week at the initial report time that he was charged with 9 different charges, including that second offense DUI, second-degree disorderly conduct, wanton endangerment of a police officer, as well as menacing and third-degree escape. We also know that he refused field sobriety tests on the scene and complained of chest pains and was taken to an area hospital where he left on his own will and without permission, and then turned himself in to authorities the following morning. It's also been reported that some of the charges stem from him nearly hitting an officer with his truck while the officer stood behind his vehicle. That officer also finding a nearly empty bottle of vodka inside the pickup truck. Police said his blood alcohol test did exceed the legal limits of .08. The exact number, however, has not been reported to us as of this time. Some local high school teams are halfway through the football season already. Some will be so at the end of their game later on this week, and some will be playing a day early due to school calendars. Beginning with Coach Matney and the Johnson Central Golden Eagles, another win. They have not had a loss yet, and don't plan on it, I'm sure. 59-12 was the final score as they hosted Boyd County this past Friday night. So they are at 4-0. One district matchup puts them at 1-0, and that also puts them hosting East Carter this Thursday night. This is one of the Thursday night games this week. East Carter coming in at 1-4, I believe, with losses to Raceland, West Carter, Fairview, and Greenup. They did have wins over West Union, Ohio. That was their away win over West Union, Ohio. That was in their home/season opener, and that was the only win of the season thus far for East Carter. So Johnson Central, the obvious favorite, we'll say, in Thursday night's matchup once again. Turning to the Magafa County Hornets, they are on the opposite side of that spectrum. They have one win, and they have now 5 losses after a big loss to Pike Central on the road last Friday night. 38-8 was the final score in regional and district matchups. That also puts them at 0-3 and 0-2 respectively. So the Hornets now take on Knott Central. This is a home game. This is also going to be this Thursday night, and it's also going to be a pretty important game for the Hornets. Now they're facing a Knott Central who is right now 3-2. With losses to Leslie County and Breathitt, and then wins against East Ridge, South Floyd, and Betsy Lane. The Hornets have amassed 71 points this season, but given away 204. So still 4 games left, and that's all. Can you believe it? 4 games left, hoping to pick up at least another win or 2. And their next contest will be here at home this Thursday night, once again against Knott County Central. And for Brian Turner and his Cougars, they are 4-1. This is after a win over Jackson County, 51-12. 2-1 regional play, 1-0 in the district. Now they're taking on Powell County at home for the Cougars, and this is a Friday night game for Morgan County. Powell County's 2-3. They have losses to Casey County, West Carter, and to Lawrence County with wins over Lewis County and Estill County. Now the Cougars have amassed 173 points this season. Now this is Morgan County, mind you, and given up only 69. So still a great year so far for the Cougars, and they're hoping to go 5-1 against Powell County at home this Friday night. And it will be hard to improve for the Paintsville Tigers, 6-0. Now, no district games under their belt as of yet. They're coming. It's almost over. We're down to 4 games in the regular season schedule for the Tigers. But a 56-27 win over Bourbon County last week at home puts them hosting Pike Central at home this Friday night. Pike Central coming into this matchup 2-3 after losses to Letcher County Central, Shelby Valley, and Bell County, and wins over Perry County Central and Magafa County. Paintsville has amassed 247 points this season and given up only 79 on the gridiron. And once again, they're hosting Pike Central this Thursday, looking to go to 7-0. Now, this is the second to the last home game on the regular season schedule for the Tigers. Their last home game will be October the 23rd when they'll host Raceland. Now wrapping up stats with your Licking Valley RECC forecast. We had the 80s today here at the studio, and most everyone in the viewing area did. It was nice and warm, overcast, and some light precipitation. We'll see that chance of some scattered showers continuing throughout your evening, and a low of 62 under mostly cloudy skies. And you might as well like the clouds because you're just going to have to deal with them for days on end, unless we see some changes coming your way. We don't have them in the forecast as of right now. Tomorrow is going to be the second warmest day of the bunch this week after today. 75. We'll see cloudy skies. We will see some scattered showers and thunderstorms becoming more likely during the afternoon hours to the tune of about 60-70%. We'll see a wet one tomorrow. It's going to be part of a transition to what you're not going to enjoy quite so much. Starting on Wednesday, a continued covering of clouds and a continued chance of scattered showers. 67 degrees on your Wednesday. 56 for nighttime lows, and that 40% threat of scattered showers will continue across the board on your Wednesday, and those 60s and clouds and showers will continue across your forecast period. Check it out, 64 and cloudy on your Thursday, a nighttime low of 53. Not much swing there in your high and low, still hanging on to a 30% chance of scattered showers. It's going to be a pattern that indeed is going to embed itself into our forecast for quite some time. We'll wrap up the work week, which is so far away, Friday with some more isolated showers. We'll do so with temperatures still right around 64 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, maybe a little bit of break or two in the clouds starting to work its way into the forecast on Friday, but still mostly cloudy, low 60s, low 50s for nighttime lows, a lesser but still 20% chance of some isolated showers, and pretty much ditto for your weekend. We'll get to Saturday eventually. We'll do so with, once again, 64 degrees, lows close to 50, maybe a degree or two below, but mostly cloudy skies, still 20% threat of some isolated showers. The first time I even see the word sunny is partly sunny skies, and that is your Sunday's forecast with temperatures still in the mid-60s, around 66 degrees, with a still 20% threat of some isolated showers. It is a pattern that sticks in very firmly throughout our forecast. Like I said, tomorrow, 74, and that is the second warmest day of this week, counting today, and thereafter, we're going to go to the 60s and stay there. And looking ahead later on in the week, the McGoffin County Public Library Board is set to open bids tomorrow for the demolition of the old Sagersville First Baptist Church building. There's also some other news that we're closely following and a few reports that we hope to have on those, as well as other information and reports that you'll only see, I promise, with me. So be sure and, first of all, have a wonderful evening, and then join us next time for more of your news today. Thanks for watching.